The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you are encouraged to like and share them on social media. WPSL now presents the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with your host, Sue Ellen Sanders.
And welcome to the show. And we're really excited to learn about something that's fairly new to St. Lucie County. Not brand new, mind you, because the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance has been around for about almost a year?
It was relaunched about a year ago.
Yes. Lisa Fitzcoy is the communications manager for the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance. And we're really thrilled to have her. This is the first time you've been on our show, and we have a lot of questions for you. And I know you've been really busy. One of the first things I tell people a lot, and I'm going to tell people here too, it's not like Facebook is the end-all be-all. But it is a really easy and quick way to stay up to speed on what's going on in the community. And the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance has a lot of information available on their Facebook page. So if the first thing you do is put in your search bar, St. Lucie Cultural Alliance, pull it up and click like, then you'll get to see a lot of news that Lisa's going to be talking about now. So tell us why you said it was kind of revisioned about a year ago. And I know that there was originally a cultural alliance and it kind of faded away and it wasn't as active. And then through a visioning process, the community got together and they decided. So tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should say that it's not quite a year ago. It was actually earlier in 2018 that the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance was relaunched. And actually, you were right. How it came about was the county actually invited Brevard Cultural Alliance, so our neighbors to the north, to come down and go through this visioning process with the community to talk about what the arts and cultural community could benefit from here in St. Lucie. And through that process, Brevard Cultural Alliance was invited to essentially help rebuild the local cultural alliance. And so that's what we've been doing over the past year. And I should back up and say that when we talk about arts and culture, I think a lot of times people get this idea in their mind of what they think the arts means. And so I thought it might be helpful to say what we mean when we talk about arts and culture.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So when we talk about the arts and cultural sector, right, it's kind of this lengthy phrase. But what we really mean is when you think about what the definition of culture is, it's anything that kind of makes up the identity of local communities, right?
Right.
And when we talk about the arts, we're talking about not just visual art, which, of course, there's lots of talented artists, and we'll certainly talk about all the talent that's here in St. Lucie throughout the show. But it's also local theater, it's local music groups, concerts, and I know the environment is, of course, of huge importance to everyone here in this community and throughout Florida. And so, that includes things like the local aquarium and Oxbow Eco Center as well. So it's really this broad definition of arts and culture that we talk about when we're talking about the arts and cultural sector and who we're working with.
So there's a lot of things that fall under the windows, so to speak, and as long as it's something that addresses you on a cultural level and that it's something you consider art, and I'm not just talking about Lisa or Sue Ellen, but you who are listening at home, if you consider that art, then it is art.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we embrace that definition of that wide definition of what art means to you. And so like I said, we work with all the variety of talented local artists and musicians and anything that you can think of. If you are creative or artistic, we have lots of opportunities for you to partake in, and that's what we're all about, is trying to get people from different genres and backgrounds to come together and collaborate and get creative together.
So really, you're coming from several different directions here. First,
Right.
you're trying to attract the artists and the organizations and the art groups on the theaters and the performance artists and in all throughout St. Lucie County, but at the same time, you want them to join as a member so
Right.
you can help promote them to the general listening audience
Yeah,
or
that's-
living audience.
Right. Yeah, that's a big aspect of what we do. And so to give you an idea of kind of what the overall mission of the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance is, so, we're working on things that, put St. Lucie Cultural Alliance on the map in terms of making it a cultural destination. We're providing programs that help with the sustainability of our local arts and cultural nonprofits. And at the part that you mentioned as well, that we're providing promotional opportunities so that artists can become entrepreneurs and be able to sell their artwork and promote themselves. And so that's a piece of what we do as well.
And let me stop you right there before you get to the but, because a lot of times people who are artists or theaters or performing artists, they're really good at what they do, but they're not necessarily great at promoting themselves.
Right. And I would say, certainly we include our local galleries and arts-related
Right.
businesses in this conversation as well. And so there's certainly a wealth of great arts-related businesses and galleries in the county, so we don't want to neglect them as well. But say you're right, individual creative people, artists, we've heard often, need some assistance in learning how to promote themselves online or through social media,
and that's what you're there for.
Right.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm our communications manager, so I'm in the great position of being able to not just promote St. Lucie Cultural Alliance in the community, but also to serve as a resource for our local artists and creative community.
So, and I stopped you at your butt. Do you
Right.
remember what the rest of the butt was?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the arts and education piece as well, and so we promote programs that connect that arts and education piece as well. So it's kind of those three different areas that kind of comprise our mission.
So, when you're talking about education, you're not just talking about educating the children of St. Lucie County as to the arts. You're talking about educating the general population, the outreach of the information about art.
Right, sure. So yeah, creating new audiences is a huge part of what we do. So getting people who maybe haven't gone out to, maybe they don't consider themselves an artsy person and haven't gone out to many different galleries or theatrical productions. It's, we're certainly letting the community know what's out there and helping them connect to something that interests them and is, connects to something that they're passionate about.
I see two kind of people or groups of people, types of people in St. Lucie County. I see the people who have come from a larger metropolis and they're kind of snobby about, well, this isn't New York City and this isn't Orlando and this isn't Miami and it's not even the Kravitz Center
Right.
in West Palm Beach, and well, there's nothing like that here, but maybe there's not exactly anything like that there, but there are things that are really awesome and excellent, and they may not be
Absolutely.
aware.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the other people who may have been born and raised in St. Lucie County, but not assimilated on a regular basis to going to the theater. Maybe as kids they weren't taken to the theater, or
Right.
maybe they didn't go to museums or go to concerts, and so you've got those people who've never had that in their life, and then you've got the people who are new in town or sometimes even 10 years in town that don't realize that we've got that here. We
Right.
have it.
Mm-hmm. Right, absolutely. And, I know that we have a lot of folks that are transplants that, have come to Florida from other areas. And so, I would say to those folks that, if the arts is something that you're passionate about and the conversation we're having here today is something that really excites you, I, invite you to be part of the conversation and follow what we're doing. And if you have the means, be sure that you're supporting your local the local arts and cultural institutions that do exist, and be investing your time and efforts into the community and getting it to where you would like it to be.
Well, what kind of communication tools do you offer to the artists and the businesses that have joined the Cultural Alliance? What benefit is it for them to be a part?
Yeah, absolutely. So a good place to start is for me to tell you about our digital hub, which is artsstlucie.org. And so that's where you'll find information about everything that we're doing, but that's where you'll find all of our current members. And so that's the first benefit, is that you get the option to be part of our member directory. And so, we know that some artists and smaller businesses may or may not have their own website. And so this is an opportunity for them to have a great online presence, and you'll benefit from, we do a lot of things behind the scenes to make sure that when people are looking for local artists or local things to do, that St. Lucie Cultural Alliance's website is one of the top things that pops up when you go into Google and you're looking for those things. So by having a presence on our website, you benefit from that. And so we also will do promotions on social media and through our email newsletters that go out. We'll promote local events that are going on. We promote opportunities for artists, and a lot of that, in fact, most of that content comes directly from our members. So you have a marketing opportunity with us to reach new audiences through the people
And
that sign up to our
I
emails.
am getting, since I signed up to receive that information, I'm getting stuff daily. So
Right.
you must be really busy.
Yes, so we were staying really busy, posting on Facebook just about every day. It's not just weekdays, even on the weekends. We're on Twitter as well, and our handle is Art St. Lucie. And so, yeah,
Is it art or arts?
it's art.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
just the one S.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
if for those of you that are hashtag savvy, though,
Yes.
which if you're posting, or if you're using our hashtag Art St. Lucie, and you accidentally put that second S in there, I'll pick that up. So don't worry. But
So, God, that's nice.
yeah, so don't worry about that.
That's great.
Mhm.
You mentioned that that the whole idea of a Google search. Sometimes you might hear about something in passing, or you hear a radio commercial, or you saw something fly by on your social media feed, but then you don't know where it came from, and you remember something about it. You remember that so and so show was going to be somewhere, and so you can just put that in there,
Right.
and then because of the listing through Art St. Lucie, you'll have some kind of presence so people can find
Right.
it. There's nothing that's more frustrating than looking for something after you heard about it,
Right.
and not being able to find it. And you're right, a lot of the smaller organizations and the art businesses and artists themselves and museums may not have the level of media presence
Right.
that you can offer them.
Right. And another benefit of working with us is that we're also planning to put together workshops, and as well as networking events. And we actually have a networking event that's coming up here in a few weeks. And I have the date here. It is going to be Tuesday, November 27th, and that's going to be at 5:30 at the 2nd Street Bistro. So that's a great way for folks to come out and meet us, meet the staff, meet your other local artists and folks from the local theaters and museums, and get a chance to network with people and see what we're all about.
To kind of a meet and greet type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you all have been really busy, because if you just started at the beginning of 2018, that's not even 10 months then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the website, in fact, we launched our new website back in June. And what we did was, because we want to make sure that we give everyone in the community a voice in the process, was we did a 3-month kind of testing phase.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of gave us an opportunity to hear from local artists and the local organizations and businesses, to give us a chance to hear, what would be most helpful to them. And so through that process, we refined the website. And so, we were really proud of the digital hub that we put together. And I think it's a really great resource, not just for our creative community, but for anyone who's looking for, maybe you are looking for a class to take, or are, looking for events or fun things to do on the weekend. There's a little something for everybody.
During the visioning process, what was the comments you heard most often from people or organizations of what they were looking for in a cultural alliance?
Yeah, so from what I can recall, I remember that, an event calendar was something that everyone was really excited about, that they felt there was a need for. So we have that. We have a great community calendar, which anyone in the community can contribute content to. And so that kind of pulls together all of the great arts and cultural events that are going on in the community in one place. And then how we push those events out is we have an email series that we do called our Best Bets. And so that's where we feature events that are, coming up for the current weekend, and we typically feature events from our members in those emails, and it lets people know what's coming up for the weekend and helps them plan a fun-filled weekend.
And is there a charge for the members, for the artists who are members of the Alliance?
There is. For anyone who is interested in becoming members, we certainly encourage you to visit our website, artstlucia.org, to learn more about the membership benefits. But for artists, for individual artists, it's only $50 a year.
And wow,
right,
that's
so
a lot.
You have a huge
bang for your buck there.
Exactly. So you have a huge amount of benefit, and you, in addition to that, you can take pride in knowing that we are a nonprofit organization. So all of our memberships go to support us as a nonprofit organization. And our premium artist membership is only $75 a year. And for that level, you have the opportunity to post your artwork for sale on our website. We have a virtual gallery that people can post their work onto. And so that might be painting, that might be photography. I believe we even have, I recall, a local craftsperson or jeweler who has some of their work on there as well. So the possibilities are endless.
And as I'm thinking about it, I know a number of the artists in town are people who have full-time jobs, and
right.
Not necessarily in the field of art, but those who are in the field of art are frequently art teachers in the public schools, and
right.
They do not have time to promote their own work.
Right.
They do the best they can, but on the weekends and in the evenings and possibly during the summers, they'd like to be creating art, not promoting their art.
Right.
So you offer them the opportunity for
right. Yeah, we certainly try to help our local artists out with that through the offering of the workshops to aid in developing their skills to be able to better promote themselves. But as I'd said, being that I have a lot of expertise in communications and marketing, we try we try to serve as a resource for our local artists as well, and kind of serve to be kind of that digital arm for them through the virtual gallery, through promoting them on social media. So whether you have those skills right now or not, we can kind of give you a head start and then offer you the workshops and the skill development so that so you can be better at those things as well.
Well, it's awesome being able to have you on the radio too, so you can promote the Alliance, but also to promote some of the events that you have coming up.
Right.
And so, even though this is the first time that you've been on, I hope that you'll be able to come back again.
I would
and
love to.
especially as things progress for both the Alliance, and then, we're into season now, and
Right.
there's a lot of things that are happening.
Right, there certainly are.
We talked about briefly some of the theater and some of the opportunities. Of course, you have the Sunrise Theater and a lot of things that are going on in the Sunrise Theater, but you also have different organizations too. I don't know if you heard of the organization End It.
Yes, and it is actually one of our members, yes.
And my husband and I were lucky enough to go to, they had a fundraising murder mystery dinner this last
Right.
weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I went thinking, well, it's a fundraiser for End It, which is a youth organization. And, so we'll go and we'll, watch whatever they do and it'll be fine. They were marvelous. They were unbelievable.
Right.
And because they said it in the medieval times, they even had someone who had researched the dances for the medieval times. And so you had very young middle school and high school students who had written the play, the Whodunit play, and then also were performing in between doing the medieval dancing. And it was so entertaining. But this a perfect example of an organization who they're spending all their time putting their show together and putting their group together and organizing their kids and coming up with programming for their kids. They don't always have the opportunity to promote their shows.
Right. Yeah, and that's why we're so pleased to be able to use our platform to be able to promote their events and help give them a boost. And I love to hear that, the kind of that multidisciplinary approach, right? So of being able to be involved in writing and directing and acting and dancing and doing all of those things. So that sounds like it was a really fun event.
Oh, it was so much fun. But there are a lot of organizations like that here that are mostly nonprofit, although there are some for-profit entertainment venues. But we talked briefly, you and I, before the show started, about Pineapple Playhouse, which is the St. Lucie Community Theater, and they have shows that are going on all season long, and they're not always able to get the word out about what they're doing too. The Sunrise, because we're not in a major city, a lot of times we'll get really incredible shows, but we'll get them during the week and not on the weekend, because they use us kind of like as a stopping before they go to the Kravitz or down to Fort Lauderdale for the weekend.
Right.
But they'll stop and they'll do a show here, and sometimes the word doesn't get out to everybody. So I'm really excited about the potential of everything that you bring to the table.
Right.
And what you're already doing, the fact that, you and I went back and forth with booking the show, and I had rescheduled you because we had something else that was specifically timely that I wanted to fit in. But during the period of time before we rescheduled again, I got an opportunity to see all the promotion that you were doing for different organizations. And I have to say, I was really impressed with what you give them for either $50 or $75. And there is no cost for people who want to just receive the information.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Certainly.
that's free.
Yeah, certainly. We encourage anyone who's interested. There's a link to subscribe to our emails. You have a couple of options. You can sign up to receive our Best Bets emails, which are those events that I mentioned. but we also do another email called our Arts St. Lucie Bulletin Board, which that's a great opportunity if you want to hear about local calls for art or classes or things of that nature. So it's opportunities for our local artists or aspiring creative people to find out about what's going on in the communities. So lots of good options for you.
There's all types of different art, and you touched on it when we first started the show, when we were talking about how you think that a visual art, for example, might be painting or drawing, but you don't think of it in terms of jewelry or other ways that people produce their art. The things that in today's world, that you're putting art on T-shirts, you're putting art on murals, you're putting art on. Anita Prentice is an awesome example of her mosaic bus benches,
Yes.
which have totally transformed St. Lucie County.
Yeah.
And it make me smile every time I pass by one.
Right, me too. Yeah, we're really proud of Anita's work, and she's a member of ours as well. So
see, you got all the best.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have some friends that are art teachers that are starting to develop their own following in art, and I'm going to pass along the information to them too, because they're trying really hard to promote themselves. And they don't have all the tools to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you might have noticed that on our website we've started to build a directory of teaching artists. So there is a process. There's a criteria that we do ask local teaching artists to go through. But certainly if you are a teaching artist and you're interested in going through that process and learning more, you can visit our website and learn more about that, see who we have featured on there. I do believe we have Anita Prentice featured on that list as well, if I'm not mistaken. So we encourage folks to check that out as well.
And then it always seems like, and I'm not sure about how all the algorithms with Facebook work, but the worst thing in the world is to see people posting about an event that you would have loved to have gone to, and it happened 2 days ago.
Right.
So I want to find out about it before it happens.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's the worst feeling. That's happened to me before too, whereas I'll see things and, oh man, that sounded like a lot of fun, but
but I didn't get to go.
Right. Luckily, we're really good at that. We're really good at getting the word out about events, and I know all the ins and outs of Facebook and how to boost events. So,
well, Lisa, I do want to get into talking about some of the events that you brought with you, including the St. Lucie's procession of the species. But before we do, you were talking a little bit about your background and what has prepared you for this job. What have you been doing?
Yeah, so I'm a Florida native. I actually grew up in Brevard County, and once I graduated college, I moved up to Virginia and lived and worked in Virginia for about a decade. Met my husband up there. We've been married almost a year. We'll celebrate our anniversary here in a couple weeks. But we always knew it was kind of in our long-term plan to come back to Florida to be closer to family. And so when the position came up down here, we relocated. And, the arts and culture have always been a passion of mine, and it was always my aspiration in college to come work for an organization where I could use my communications and marketing skills for arts and culture. So couldn't be happier to be here. And my husband is actually a teacher with St. Lucie County Schools.
He is. What does he teach?
He teaches civics. He's a part of the MANA team at Manatee Academy.
That's awesome.
So even though I'm part of the Brevard Cultural Alliance, I'm working on behalf of St. Lucie Cultural Alliance, I do very much feel a part of this community, and couldn't be happier to be here.
And you do have to point out that when something is successful in one county, to play off that, you know kind of what works and what doesn't work already. And that's the
Right.
hardest thing with starting a new
Mm-hmm.
or revisioning an old organization to a new one, is you have to deal with, the hit or miss. Well, let's try this, and there's already things that that are proven that
Right.
are working. So it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
opportunity to do that.
It definitely is, and so, and it's, I should say also that, Brevard Culture Alliance, we were invited by the county to build up St. Lucie Culture Alliance, but we're working with the local community. We feel very invested in the community here, and it's always been the goal and the intention, that St. Lucie Culture Alliance, after this foundation is built, will continue to move forward and have the local community kind of take it over and
Take
move
more
forward.
of a role in it.
Right.
Okay, so what do we have that's coming up right around the corner? I know that people are looking kind of for a break. We're right in the middle of early voting with a contentious election
Oh,
right around the
yes.
corner.
Mhm.
And, people are kind of looking to be entertained by things
Yeah.
that are maybe something other than political debates. So what do
Right.
we got coming up?
Yes. So, a great thing that's going on Saturday, the 27th, is St. Lucie's Procession of the Species. St. Lucie Culture Alliance, we are one of the sponsors of the event. But it's an event that's put on by the county and by the Oxbow Eco Center. And so it's a great way to celebrate nature. So we have lots of local schools and artists who are going to be dressing up and developing really great puppetry of their favorite animal or plant, anything that comes from nature. And they'll be parading down the Fort Pierce waterfront
Which
on
is
Saturday
awesome.
morning.
I know
So-
when there were a couple times where they were first starting this, they were doing it at Oxbow, which is it's a great location, and it's very mid county, but it's not a very big location for doing some type of procession or
Right.
parade,
Mhm.
and there's a limited area for a viewing audience. So
Right.
this really opens it up to everybody.
It does, and the great thing is that the procession will actually end at the Indian River Lagoon Science Festival, which is going on downtown as well. So
Is it at Riverwalk or is it?
it's in that area
Yeah.
at I think it's at the Veterans Memorial Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so-
in that area there,
Right.
that's great. And whether you have little kids or you have big kids, that's a really cool thing to go to too, because you'll see a lot of technology and science that is being demonstrated for you. At the same time, you'll
Right.
feed into the environment and what's going on. So you're combining it with another special event that's coming up. What else is coming up in the next couple weeks?
So I believe St. Lucie Botanical Garden is they're having their spooktacular event on Halloween, and Fort Pierce Jazz and Blues Society that usually does their Wednesday jazz jams. They will be there as well. So that's another great event that with Halloween coming up right around the corner. And I'd mentioned earlier as well that St. Lucie Culture Alliance, we're having our networking mixer at 2nd Street Bistro at the end of the month. So
And what's the date on that?
that is going to be November 27th at 5:30.
So it's the week after Thanksgiving.
Yes, it's the
Thanksgiving
weekend
is
after
okay.
Thanksgiving, right?
So if you're going out of town for Thanksgiving, luckily you can be back in time for this. We just have a few more minutes. Let's talk again about how people can find out more about the Cultural Alliance, whether you just want to get on lists and find out what's going on in town, or whether you're an artist or a business that like a museum or some type of exhibit hall where you want to drive people to your business. How again can people get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can, again, visit our website, artstlucie.org. Of course, we're on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/artstlucie. And you can also reach out to us. Our email is info@artsstlucie.org, or you can give us a call at 772-462-2783. Any of those ways is a great way to reach out to us and learn more. You can always subscribe to our emails, those best bets, or artist opportunities e-blasts that we send out. So lots of great ways to get involved and find out what we're up to.
And you can do all that online, or you can just call Lisa at the
Yes.
number. And we have her card here, so she can't hide. You
Yeah.
can call here during the week, and Lynette will give you the information if you miss the phone number. We'll also post it if you're watching this show as a replay on YouTube. The types of artists that you're trying to attract are such a variety of people, because when you live in a place like the Treasure Coast, you have people who are artists as a hobby, and you have people who are at the beginning of their life, and people who have retired from other types of businesses and now have time to create their art. We're talking about a little bit of non-traditional art as in jewelry, but I also I've seen people who do quilting as art.
Right.
And there's just anything that has any type of art and culture to it at all can change your life drastically.
It certainly can. So, and I've seen people who do woodworking or iron workers, or there's so much variety out there, and we recognize that St. Lucie County is full of so many talented artists and creative people, and so we certainly want to hear from you to hear what would be most helpful to you, because we're here to support you and promote you. So we look forward to working with you.
Oh, and before the show ends, I don't know if you heard of a young man. Well, he's not so young anymore, but his name is Rusty Wiles.
Oh, yes.
And he's actually a firefighter in town, but an incredible photographer. And,
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people who you'll be surprised at what they bring to the table as far as the arts and cultural community.
Right.
It's really exciting to discover this. Well, Lisa Fitzcoy has been my guest, and she is the communications manager of the St. Lucie Cultural Alliance. You can get in touch with them again at
our website is artsstlucie.org, or you can give us a call at 772-462-2783.
Great. Thank you for listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. We're here every Friday at 6:05. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.
And we're followed by High School Sports Live. Stay tuned. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie. The talk of the Treasure Coast, celebrating 25 years and counting.